Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your Volkswagen Virtual Racing Championship. We are up on the grid here and just a couple of minutes away from the start of action and proceedings at this moment in time. My name is Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Solomon Paras. There is Ozcan Kotadir, second position at the moment on the grid, and we cycle on back through absolutely everyone who has had a pretty good run of things today in qualifying. Steve Smuts there in third position on the grid in the 08 with Amit Kuti there back in fourth position, a little bit far away from his grid box there just to get things going. Row 3 will be one that's very much entertaining and interesting just to keep an eye out on with how everyone is looking here. You got likes of Raghav Budaraja, who looks like he's going to be someone to be worth keeping an eye out on here. Garvit Loda as well. Definitely keep an eye on him in the mix. Nanveet Kumar is there at the moment. He is certainly hoping for a good start here today in this one. Jamie Shaw as well will be hoping for something very similar, as I believe we have a couple of little bit of glitches here to work through. I don't think we've had a completely straight run through here with the grid, but there is Banerjee in 8th position, classified by the graphics that we see right now. We'll go through the last two that we get to 9th and 10th position as we look on through. Tej Patel, and of course there will be others searching for good times. Pratik Sonawana is certainly going to be one of them, but it's a long run down to turn number 1 with Ozcan Kotadir there on the front of the grid as things stand at the moment, meaning that the pole sitter has not taken the space on the grid that maybe we would have expected. So that's going to be an entertaining prospect. There he goes up onto the grid right in the nick of time with about 20 seconds to work out here. So Ara Ravindra having a few troubles, but ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ourselves ready. Lights procedure about to start, and we will be getting ourselves underway for half an hour's worth of battle. We put 5 lights on. We put 6 of them even. But we get ourselves underway and we get ourselves to racing. Ara Ravindra with a really, really strong start. They start here today at the finish line, and look at them swarming already. It looks like Kuti's had a really good start. And there's troubles in the background. 2 already in trouble. 3, 4 maybe in the background have all found themselves in the wall on the run to Tamburello. And it is Ravindra who's got the good start. But crucially, I believe Kotadir did enough to hold off then to stay in second position as they fight on through and scrap now towards the Villeneuve chicane.
You know, the one thing very good about was this particular start was Ara Ravindra kept his cool. He knew he's going to be challenged for the first position, and then he also knew that if he just needed to get past the 3 corners, and he's exactly done that. The chicane between Valentini was a tough one. Now, Amit, that was a close.
It's more than close. It's a big hit, and Kotadir's around and up and over there with a huge hit. And that is not ideal for Ozcan Kotadir. Kuti's got through, and somehow Pratik Sonawana is up into 4th position here, going through at Piratella Corner. So he's had a storming start to this race, but Kotadir will not be happy after starting on the front row of the grid and now being behind by a long distance after a huge hit. Ara Ravindra leads this one. It is Smuts in second, and now Kuti trying to hold off third place at this stage as they go to the Variante Alta for the very first time, or just the Variante at this stage. And there is Sonawana trying to have a look down the inside. It's tough to fight through this section. They both come together. Kuti can't about holding it. It'll drop way down after not having any power now to deal with on the exit. Banerjee going up now into Banerjee going up into 5th place.
You know, one thing very interesting was Ara Ravindra knew for a fact is that if he just had to get ahead, and the rest of them were going to be fighting it out for the little space, because there are certain places between turn 5 and 6 and 7, you really don't find that the number of space to over. It's trying to do a number of flips in the air, the car top. I think the car almost came down with 3, but it kind of looks very exciting when a car just goes a little bit on the outside, but then it just brings in that action a little bit more stronger. Ara Ravindra still in the lead at the moment.
Absolutely having a good run of things right now, and he's doing well. There's the battle all the way back in 15th, as this is Menno having himself in a little bit of a position here as he tries to go on through Tamburello's chicane and move on towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane, which comes up as the second little run that they have right now. All nicely worked out through that section as they go through lefts and rights. They can see on the timing tower where everybody is at this moment in time, making good runs up and down the field. 28 drives all searching, and there is Havoc Anwar in a little bit of trouble. Anuj Raj, we think, may have had himself a little bit of a problem. He's in a scrap right now here, trying to get past Ronnie Rock, and he's trying to get through and find a way by. At the moment, not going to be able to do that just yet, but power on the exit's always going to be needed, and there it is. On a little bit here, and we see like Suarez Yadav in 15th position. He's certainly searching for an opportunity to climb up through the field right now. Every position now becomes a key battleground in the early reaches of this race. Yadav there in 15th position, hoping to do well. There is Ravindra at the front, and you can see here there have been some drivers who've done well. Amit Kuti has been someone who has lost out. You can see he's now back down into 6th position at this stage in the race, but at this moment he's now down to 7th. There's 1-2 drivers off there at Ravats. Didn't quite catch who those were, but it looks like that could have been Banerjee, one of the drivers who's gone off. Sakuti +2 moves back into position number 5, and Solomon, just like that, is how quickly early on you can gain places. Jamie Shaw also running into troubles.
Jamie Shaw has already lost about 4 positions, and I can just 200. If he continues to drive like that, he's going to drop a little bit more. Munjal Savla is right now moving up to the 3rd position. As I look at the leaderboard, Arun Ravindra pulling up a lap time of a distance of 1.5 seconds. Pratik Sonwane has gone over the grass quite a number of times, as much as he's not gone into the curbs here today. He's got to be a little bit careful. Somehow, he still manages to walk out to the 4th. Was he brake testing him there? I think he was possibly brake testing.
I wouldn't have thought it was a brake test. I would have thought if he had any form of penalty, he was trying to get away with that. There is the mid-pack here. Raghav Raja is in 10th position, and right now you can see he's having to play defensive packs. It's a pack of 6 that looks to try and work out how to try and negotiate through into the midsection of this lap, side by side down the hill to Aqua Minerale. That's always a dangerous place to go, and now we try and pick and choose. Minerage has gone too deep. He manages to slam into the side, and ultimately he pays the price and is out there. Aditya Pawar now stuck to attack then for that 9th place. He's going to try and dive down the inside and pick up the place, but around the outside that's very well to get the position back. So Pawar is now back down into 10th position, but it's been action-packed off the start.
You know what? I've always believed every time when you're overtaking someone, you already need to be seen. You've always got to need to be seen. Otherwise, you're going to be like car number 27. You just try and come to the edge when the car is already there. That was bound to happen. Pratik Sonwane moves up to position 8. Did I see the time board? It says 1.8 seconds is the lead for Arun Ravindra. Pratik Sonwane, with all that has happened with him, he's somehow managed to consolidate the 7th. I got to be honest here, he could have lost a lot more positions than that. Aditya Pawar still fighting. Will he be able to gain a position right now? No, he doesn't. Somehow closes the door right on car number 20 as we look around it.
Yeah, certainly was searching for a little bit of time. We've got one driver in the pits, it's Garvit Loda, who's come down in, but Pawar here in 9th, fighting for what is now the 8th position on the road, and every point matters in this championship. If you don't have a good round 1, well, you have to attack a little bit further forward at this moment in time. So you've got the likes of Lalit Jabak then, who's going to be in a little bit of trouble. And they both need to work to catch that 3-car train in front, which starts to fight a little side by side up the hill. That one doesn't go the way that maybe Tej Patel was hoping for as they went up and through. So they're going to be in a little bit of a sticky wicket, I think, is the right way to point it right now. But they can't afford to battle too hard, or they'll bring everyone back into it with them again.
There is something which I noticed was most mistakes that we would like to call that. It is happening in turn number 17 and turn number 7. Remember the Tosa corner that you were talking about? Some of them are just not able to map that corner as much as they'd like to, especially Amit Kuti struggled earlier on as well. I really like the lines though Arun Ravindra took on turn number 7 and into turn number 9. There we have it, Arun Ravindra. What a perfect drive he's been having so far. But then the challenge is just going to get a little tougher. Oh, I love this. The view from the car. You can better than that, can it?
Driver's eye view into the opening couple of corners. Aravindra's not had the best couple of laps. Reeled in, hand over fist by Stephen Smuts, who is there just behind and wants to try and take the race lead away. But we're going to have a little conversation with a driver. We had a conversation earlier on with Nirav Jain, who is going to be talking about a little bit of what he goes through when it comes to racing.
Nirav, I'm from Hyderabad, 20 years old. Started watching F1 a year ago with a couple of friends of mine. And over the lockdown, got into racing on the PS4. Started off with the controller. I was racing on Gran Turismo Sport, and that's how I got into the initial round because it was on Gran Turismo. So I entered through PlayStation, and then I got a sim a month and a half ago. Not even a sim, just got a pedal and the wheel. Dismantled my study table and then attached it, and then I've been practicing on that. But no prior experience in terms of. I have done go-karting, but never in terms of really, focusing on the line and lap times. It was just out of pure curiosity. But there's been a lot of free time in my hands, so I've been really trying to, do something. And this sparked my interest, so took it, and then it's been.
Well, we just saw there at the opening half of the lap, Nirav Jain losing out the place, then falling back to 22nd position. Back up to the front, this has been a better lap then from Ravindra, but Steve Smuts there in second position. Definitely wants to get into the mix here right now, Solomon. He is there in second place, but he just needs to find those consistent laps again. They are starting to hit a little bit of lapped traffic as well, which is not ideal. In fact, that lap traffic exits stage right to the exit of Tamarello, so that's one way to deal with that. But Steve here wants to try and get himself up into the race leading position. Doesn't have to do it right now. He's got 20 minutes to play with here.
Arun Ravindra clearly sees him on his rear view mirror. He knows, okay, the gap is come down from 1.5 to about 8/10 of a second. Now that gap is going to come down with every passing corner. So I would actually believe this one, and Steve Smuts have really brought in this entire race alive. Just to let you know a little bit right at the back down here, Aditya Pawar still struggling in position number 9. In fact, he lost his position to number 9. Munjals is still hanging on to number 3. Amit Puri, he will be happy with his performance so far. Number 4. Here we go.
Here we go indeed. This is the fight for the podium now. He's done so well to pull that gap down, and Kuti takes the place and jumps up then into position number 3, just like that. It's as easy as it comes. Munjal Savla did not have much to really argue against this, and Kuti, though, for all of the mistakes he's been making, is already a firm about 9 seconds away from those at the front of the field, which is definitely not what you want to be in, definitely not the position you want to be fighting in. But really, Solomon, now is the time to get your head down. You've got a clear track ahead of you. It's time to just focus on attacking clean and consistent laps.
Jake, you called it well. You said Amit Puri is a man who's going to be on the offensive. He's been more than on the offensive. He's been already talking about a hammer time. He's got a clear track ahead. All he's got to do is put it down there. But this is where the interesting fight is. The fight for the 18. 3x5, 3 red cars, 3 polo cars fighting in for the 18th position. One thing I like about motorsports is every fight in every position is a fight that you can always live up for, and you can watch it so closely. Ronnie Sirok at the moment 18th position.
18th and trying to chase on down. We're going to step aside for a couple of moments here. We'll be back with more after this.
Power. You only understand it when you feel it, you know? And when you do, trust me, you'll know why we live for these nights.
Volkswagen.
Pressure showing then as Rock does jump now up into 16th position. A couple of drivers running into troubles in front, meaning that picked up a couple of places, but look at how aggressive every lap there is someone side by side coming out of Tosa up the hill towards Piratella. I wasn't expecting it one here today, Solomon, to be a corner worth keeping in mind as an overtaking place because it's really difficult to pass. But today, it seems like that's the place where all of these polos are getting the run to get those attacks.
One thing about the polo, you would want to see them. It's very light on one of those right-hand corners. In fact, you will see a lot of overtakes that's happening on the right-hand corners. Not so much on the left that we've seen so far. Looking down at Steve Smuts, he is really piling on the pressure. So in the next 3 laps, it would be as close as ever to take the fight to Ravindra. Can he fight back? This is the moment that we're going to look at.
Certainly is at this stage. There is Amif Kuti, currently classified in 3rd position right now and is trying to make some really good progress back through the field here. There is Munjal Savla in 4th position at this moment in time and is just slowly starting to fall maybe backwards into the clutches of those behind. And that will be the concern in the second half of this race. Those who have maybe gone out a little bit earlier, a bit aggressive on the tyres, not being able to pull that back in. Tej Patel, what a quiet run he's had so far today, Solomon, up into 5th place and pretty much having, oh no, a commentator's curse, he's just spun the car.
So I got one on you. So there we go. There we go. Well, come on, reverse that car. Get back on grid. Come on, that's what you're looking at. He's lost about 10 positions. So he's going to come back again. Somewhere on 16th or 17th position to join this car back. Rishabh Banerjee says thank you very much. He takes his position at the moment at number 6. He leads the fight with the 6. He's going to be fighting down number 16 at the moment. Arun Ravindra, hey, he stretched his lead now. So, responding to that pressure, Arun Ravindra, responding to the pressure, goes faster and extends the gap just over 1 second. It's going to be very interesting as the race comes down. 15 minutes to go. There's going to be more drama for sure.
Well, at the halfway stage, Ravindra's just doing what he needs to keep behind Steve Smuts at an arm's length, and he has done that, and he's done so well by putting in some really, really positive times coming over the start finish line. But the focus now surely has to be on 5th place back to about 12 at this stage, all within about 2 seconds of each other in terms of gaps between drivers. That's going to be one definitely worth keeping an eye out on into the later stages of this race. All of those points definitely up in the air is the right way to say it. It seems like Kofadia is making a really, really good charge back through the pack. Remember, he was down somewhere around 24th position after that opening lap contact. He's now back up into 8th place and having a brilliant run of things at this moment in time. And there's not much that anyone is being able to do here to try and stop this recovery drive. We did have a little chat though with a driver who's in 4th place at the moment. That is Munjal Savla, who is having a really good run. Here's what we have managed to get after a little conversation with him.
I'm Munjal Savla, firstly, and I'm 32 years old. So I have been racing for quite some time, since probably I was in high school. Started off with karting, and then joined engineering, kind of dropped off from the racing scene, and then came back into the first Volkswagen Polo Cup in 2010. Did 3 years of racing at the national level. Had a good time. Being a rookie, had a steep learning curve, but eventually ended up with a few race wins and made some lovely friends, and overall was a great learning experience. Since then, I haven't really raced. At a professional level, I'm an engineer and now a management consultant. I'm into renewable energy and work in that space.
Well, quietly in 4th position, Munjal Savla has had a really, really good run of things so far today. And he's looking like he's in that position to continue at this stage. We have been keeping an eye on that battle for 8th place. There's Kofadia, and that's a pass just behind Kofadia to pick up that place. Now, Solomon, these positions, 9th, 10th, 11th, all the way up to 7th, 6th, 5th place. You can can see Jamie Shaw also trying to recover back. He's got a great run out to the second revat, so he's already through. You can see from the red arrow, which he'll have as he's racing. That's where the car is behind, and that's how he's clear. Raj Tula and up now into the top 10. On the brakes, turn 1. Very nicely done. Tula looking to attack then on the exit and try and pick this one up into fourth gear and looking for the next stage here. Moves back to the inside, trying to find this move, and he's got a nose to the inside. He brakes later to make it happen. Now that is commitment from Raj Tula. You don't often see that, and there's someone off there in the grass as well, so that might be another position that they potentially gain. But look at Shaw, he's coming right back here at the toes of the hairpin. He's going to pick that one up. We have just lost Solomon Barras here with us, so I'll continue on with coverage here right now. Looking down for the inside is Tula, who is now down into 11th place here. Can't quite hold that one off, and that was very nicely dealt with then as they go on forward. We're down to 11 minutes on the clock. Tula here, certainly hoping for opportunity then to go up there, to strike, to attack, gain back those positions, which are very key. Contador already now back up then into the 7th position and searching for that right time to move up to maybe 6th, maybe even 5th place right now, to make sure that those positions are very, very keenly fought for. Solomon, do we have you back here?
Yes, you do. I was just looking at Ravindran's time. He's actually stretched out to over 2 seconds, and that's something very interesting. I was pretty surprised. Right in the back, suddenly, somewhere in the mid-pack, we're going to be looking at more fights for the fight for the 7th position. And there's also a very interesting fight between the 11th and the 13th position. Right, number 7, Oshan from the Netherlands has moved up to position number 7. Remember, he was on the top 5 or top 6. Just to talk to you a little bit about it, 2011 Volkswagen white sedan, and also
he certainly had some really good results in terms of his passing play, but we're going to step aside very, very quickly here. Here comes action of the Volkswagen Virtual Racing Championship. We'll be back with more after this.
Power is, you only understand it when you feel it, you know?
Volkswagen.
Looking to fly on forward and find the right results. There's Suarez Yadav, who is now in 10th position at this moment in this race and is trying to make some progress here as we take an aerial perspective here at this middle sector of the track, going down the hill towards the fantastic bit of road. And you can see that battle between Jamie Shaw there up in front for 8th position on track. That's going to be a key little fight that we're going to be seeing. Now, Solomon, the big issues that these drivers are going to have is that if they start losing sight of the forest between the trees, so to speak, they're only going to be fighting for 8th place, not higher up for 7th, 6th, and 5th places. Seems that we've once again lost Solomon here, but Jamie Shaw is fighting for that 8th place and is fighting for that 8th place incredibly difficultly at this stage, trying to get another good run out here to be protected. And Solomon, we have you here.
oh yes, you do. Just a little worried about is the way the cars are twitching onto the corners. It's not gripping that corners down there as much as you look around it. We've seen that Oshan has been really trying to turn in as quickly as possible.
Yeah, we just had a look there. That looked like a little bit of sideways action from the driver in front of Contador, who grabbed grass on entry into Tamburello, able to hold the slide. That is Pratik Sonawana, who very nearly ran himself into those troubles. But what the key is, in terms of this moment in time, is that Sonawana is definitely hoping that he can hold on to 6th, maybe challenge for 5th place. But he has 2 options here. He can either try and defend this one hard and maybe lose out on 5th place, or maybe he can go for the other route, which is to maybe use Contador as a pick to drag him up forward and into that battle for 5th place.
Spot on, Jake. Now I'm just thinking, things are getting heated up. It's 7 minutes 35 seconds to go. Swarnaj stays at number 10. A big heads up to one gentleman by the name Arun Ravindra. He's done well to hold back Stephen Smith. I hope he's able to hold it back for a little bit. He's still there. He is on your screen, Arun Ravindra. Where in the rear view mirror, we can't even see the car. Stephen is not even close. So here comes the most moment where he's going to be lapping the back markers here. Can somebody take advantage of that?
Maybe that could be the case here. Steve Smuts in second position. He's been very Steve Smith-like in the way that he's been hanging in and being very much a pest or a nuisance to the driver in front, and has been a pest to many a bowler, has Steve Smith. But for the moment, Steve Smuts is not quite in the right area to strike, and I think that this might just be a case of being close but a bridge too far at this moment in time, as we head ourselves into the final stages of this race, the final 6 minutes left on the clock to try and figure this one out. Still the top 10 not entirely under the right position, as here is Ronnie Rock giving a little bump through the corner, and if there was ever the chrome horn time to make a pass, that was a push to pass.
It's like, thank you very much, I need to get ahead, I'll see you later. Looking down the other side, I was just wondering, Navneet Kumar was way outside that curve. He should have possibly covered it much better. Okay, we're still now looking at Aditya Pawar. He's in position number 19, just behind this red car of Ronnie Khan, car number 30. So we're looking, a couple of them, setting in personal best lap times as the race is becoming a little heated up here. 3 cars have already gone back to the pit lane, and I've just seen, was it Tej who set in his personal best? Oshan now in position number 7. This guy is not going to go off with the other fight here again. He knows he's got 2 cars ahead of him. Can he make it a fight to the finish?
Look at the steering and how much lock he has got to try and do just to keep the car straight at this stage. This is a Herculean effort from Cothanier, who's clearly got some crabbing going on in terms of having the suspension not straight. This is an incredible effort right now from Cothanier to keep himself in this fight for a top 5.
Did you feel that berm there just on that curve? There was quite a huge berm there, and he's making it very smooth here. He's going to make life quite difficult. He's on his way to get it on the stick. He's on the slipstream. He's got to get to that corner first again and maybe close there. Has he done enough? He looks to have done again. He should be able to come out onto that next corner. He moves up to position number 6. Well done. It's a good move right in there.
It is, but he's got grass here as he tries to jam on the brakes. He wasn't quite entirely comfortable with how much he's steering the car. He gets a little bump from behind as well as he moved up into 6th place. Now he's got to try and attack for P5 and try and get something going. His steering, effectively on the analog clock here, is at 2 o'clock right now as he tries to chase on down Rishabh Banerjee for that top 5 position, and that will go down to one of the great recoveries, because Cothanier, let's not forget, this turn here on lap 1, he was upside down 2-3 times, and he's still going to get a top 5, it seems, at this moment in time. Things stay as they are.
If that incident didn't happen in lap number 1, I wouldn't be surprised if he was fighting for the first 3 positions or the podium finishes that we call it. He could have been one of the guys to watch out for. Quick story around here is it will be very interesting to look at the lap times a little later. Oshan versus Arun Ravindra versus Steve. Which will be very interesting, but it's 3 minutes 35 seconds odd left. It's hammer time. This is the moment gloves come off. This is the time you have to get your speed. Now all you got to do is look at the track ahead of you and strive for that little position that's coming in front of you. Steve has done well, but not enough to catch this man on your screen, Arun Ravindra.
Now that's the key right now, and Ravindra here has just kept a gap of around 2 seconds here, and even here into the final 2 laps, I don't see that gap coming down unless Ravindra somehow finds a mistake out here on circuit. This has been a very clinical performance from Ravindra, who has led every lap here. He's been lights to flag so far in terms of this. 27 minutes on the clock, and he's had 27 minutes worth of race lead. But the focus will be a little bit further down the field to see how those minor positions here, those fighting for the top 10, are really going to be playing out here in hand. As Cothanier has got himself onto the back of Banerjee, looking to try and get that 5th place. You can see how much he's having to steer. He's got those steering absolutely dead on straight as he goes through turn 3 at Tamburello. That's almost unheard of.
I get a feeling that it's almost like he's visiting the gym and trying to get your hand muscles and your biceps moving on, because with this kind of work that he's doing on the steering, he possibly doesn't need to visit the gym today. But can he make that move in front of Rishabh? I believe that was a mistake. That was a mistake by Rishabh, and he goes a little too wide again. This is going to give a chance for Kotadia to actually line him up for an overtaking maneuver. Maybe one of the tighter corners again. He's got 2 minutes. Or can he do it before the finish flag? Can he do it before the checkered flag? That's what we're going to be looking at now.
The fact that he's having to counter steer so much, he is going to be scrubbing speed on the straights, and that's going to be a little concerning. There's the mistake that's needed there, trying to get a little bit too cute, understeer through there at that section, but Kotadia can't capitalise here, heading up the hill on the brakes to the first of the chicanes here. And again, he's just so much more aggressive through the corners. He just doesn't have the car underneath him to really capitalise and to challenge on the small mistakes which are coming in. This is where pressure tells here as we do start to enter now the final lap of this race. There'll be no additional time added on after the 30 minutes on the clock. So now it's all about finish up your lap and hope you find it. Kotadia needs a good run coming out of this corner, and he does get a decent attempt to try and attack this one in towards turn number 1. This is going to be the key place to try and find all those actions. But again, on a straight line or in a straight line, he does not have the power because he's having to counter steer with a little bit of out of centre steering, which is definitely not helping the cause as they jam on the brakes for what will be the final time here in this event. There is Ravindra, 45 seconds remaining on the clock. In fact, this is going to be a little bit touch and go whether everyone is going to be going around for another lap here, because we are heading towards the end here of this lap, and it may just be one more. Lights flashing there to say, come on, lap traffic, please get out of the way. I'm still on a charge. 30 seconds left on the clock then for Aaron Ravindra. I think he may just force everyone to go one lap further potentially here, try and get himself over the line towards the end of this race. The two Ravazza corners here, the two left-handers, and the timer ticking itself down to just 10 seconds remaining. And I think that we are going to be just about out of time for one more representative lap around this place. This has been a storming drive and a lights to flag performance. The checkered flag comes out for him right on cue. Ara Ravindra has taken victory here today in round 1 of the VVRC here at Imola.
Well done, Ara Ravindra, and well, hard fought, Steve. Hard fought, Steve. And what a drive towards the end by.
This is the final lap now that we are on. So yes, sorry, my apologies. We have hit the final lap as they did cross the line. It looked like he was just going to be close, but there is Ravindra here making his progress through, and he is definitely looking like he is incredibly happy with the way that he's running at the moment, just driving on by. And it looks like Banerjee here has taken his place in the pit, so he's run himself into a couple of troubles here late on, but looks like Ravindra can be quite happy with the way he's run. There is Jamie Shaw all the way back down in 13th position right now, and he's having a really, really good run of things. But Banerjee in the pits late here is dropping a whole heap of positions, and that is not ideal.
Well, this is where we talk about the time to bring out the hammer and bring in the last set of best laps, last set of your all that push that you really require towards the finish line. Now, for a moment I thought it was over, but then Aaron Ravindra possibly has to just make sure that whatever he's done, he's got to do it again towards the end. Yeah, here you go.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Ronnie Rock there, picking up places late. He jumps up into 14th position then. So classification of results, we do have it on your screen. A little bit of confusion on our end as we were just going through the final stages there, ladies and gentlemen. It is Ara Ravindra, lights the flag, picking up the win over Steve Smutt and Amit Kuti. A good charge today to get into 3rd position. Munjal Savla will take a quiet 4th place, and you put those in the back pocket and bank them. What a drive from Moshan Kotadia, up from 21st position after an incident on lap 1 to get 5th place, all nicely sorted out without any worries at all. Pratik Sonawana gets 6th position with Swaraj Yadav in 7th, and it's Lalit Jabak in 8th place. Tej Patel to 9th after a spin from 5th position, and then it's Abhimanyu Menon who rounds out the top 10 then here today. 15 rounded out then by the likes of Tula, Tashore, Budiraja, Rock and Rout as well finding themselves in a couple of issues here and there as we look on going forward. But what is very crucial is we're going to take an opportunity then to just talk to a couple of drivers then after this race has all come into play. First and foremost here, it doesn't look like I have the permissions here to drag up drivers here to get interviews in and already here today, but hopefully we will be able to get interviews in just a couple of moments here, Solomon. But you have to talk about how lights the flag that victory was. But we will actually, before we talk about that, we will get our race victor in here today. And Arrow, I think it's very clear for you, 30 minutes led. Lights the flag is probably the way you definitely wanted that victory to come along. Let's give ourselves a couple of seconds, ladies and gentlemen, as we wait for Arrow to be ready here for interview. But Solomon, that was a very, very good race that we just had there. And it was all about lights the flag victories and finding exactly what was needed.
You're spot on, Jake. I really got to call it out. You called out well as far as Aro. You called out well as far as Amit. You also called out very well as far as Koteria is concerned. The kind of fight back that he brought in. What a lap time! I mean, he didn't put a wheel wrong, and he was spot on from the time he went very, very strong as well. So great stuff by Aro Ravindra all the way through.
Absolutely. We do have Aro Ravindra here. We'll try again. Aro, can you hear us, buddy?
Aro, can you hear us? We need to hear you.
And it doesn't look like we are in that position right now. So hopefully we'll get an opportunity here to talk to maybe a different driver. Let's try and see if we can get Steve Smuts in for conversation then, who managed to finish off this event in second position, hopefully at this stage. But we do have drivers trying to jump on in and trying to get themselves in the conversation window. But Solomon, even if we are maybe not quite able to get drivers in today here for interview, what we are able to say is that this championship started off with a really strong, clean drive at the front and some aggressive mid-pack battles.
Absolutely, and leading that one of the battle was somewhere between Amit and Glenn was also involved for a very, very little bit. Neeraj had to go back to the pit lane. Did well in the first 3-4 laps, but then he had to hit the pit lane later on. We're not able to get Aro and Steve. Maybe driving a car is easier than talking to us at this point of time, but I hope we're able to get them very soon. Favorite corner, Jake? You picked up a favorite corner already on the track. This is Imola. Glorious uncertainties are right here.
All the uncertainties we have seen today, of course, Tosa has been a fantastic corner for a number of reasons. I like it's my favourite corner in all of the world of motorsport because you have a corner where you attack up the hill off of the exit, and it always makes things a little bit different here and a little bit interesting. So we're going to try and see here if we can have one more opportunity to maybe chat to a driver. Arrow, do we have you here, buddy? And unfortunately, we do not. So what we're going to do here, ladies and gentlemen, is bring ourselves to a close. A fantastic round one of racing action that we have had. But there is definitely more on the horizon. You want to check things out here for the Volkswagen Virtual Racing Championship. From everyone who has been working hard behind the scenes here to try and make this one possible, to the sponsors here today, to Volkswagen Motorsports themselves, to MRF, to Venky's, and the NECC. This has been your Volkswagen Virtual Racing Championship. And with that fantastic race from Aro Ravindra, he'll be hoping that he gets a lot more of that on the horizon. We'll see you in about 23 hours' time for the next round of the championship.